Hello and welcome. Welcome to a new vlog. Welcome if you're new here. Hi, I'm Andrea. Welcome back if you're one of my lovely returning friends. It is great to have you all here. It is Friday. It is late afternoon on Friday. I am finally done with all of my teaching work for the week. I've managed to finish a little early. I am all caught up in the grade book, which is an excellent feeling when there is nothing left to be graded, or at least nothing outstanding. I think there's a few things my online students have turned in early, but I'll grade those on Monday. But as far as what was due this week and what is past its due date, all of that has been graded. So it is just such an excellent feeling to be caught up on all of that. I feel like I'm starting the semester well in that regard. Like, I am now done with my students are done with the first project of the semester. So they have 4 main projects, and then they have a final reflective essay. The first project is done. It's the shortest and the fastest because it's also the easiest. So I'm not like actually a quarter of the way through the work, but the first project is done. Next week we move on to the second project. I'm now done grading the first project. Yeah, first project is done. It's always a good feeling. So I'm done teaching for the day. I'm done with teaching work for the day. I'm ready to just kind of relax and chill out a little bit. I desperately need to clean up my desk. You can see some of the mess here beside me. There's also mess in front of me. I really just want to spend the next couple of hours, hopefully, before I stop for dinner and like stop for the night for work completely. I want to spend the next couple hours working on book stuff and book projects. The camera is struggling to adjust to the lighting. I do have the curtains open, which is a really good feeling, and normally I would have these blinds closed or the curtains closed because it is quite bright out there, but maybe it's just today, or maybe it really is the difference of it being now September. Days are getting slightly shorter. The sun is at a, ever so gradually at a slightly different axis in the sky. If I look out this window, it is bright, but it's not giving me a migraine the way that it would have done by this time a couple months ago. So we might be getting to a point where I don't have to have the blackout curtains in the window anymore, which would be really nice. I won't lie. I've enjoyed my cozy little cave. So like I've spent the summer pretty much since May with the blinds closed, blackout curtain drawn, keeping it as dark and as cool in here as possible. But I do think we're getting to that time where, fingers crossed, I might be able to take down the blackout curtains and just use the blinds in this window and have that be enough for like managing light source. So yeah, I'm leaving the curtains open for now. So I've got work I want to do, mainly clean up. I think I want to do a little bit of cover sketching. I think I want to try to do some writing or like some outlining. I will give you a project update on everything, and I want to talk about publishing, like my publishing plans, but also my thoughts about publishing, because I feel like I'm just in a very different space at the end of this year than I was at the beginning of this year, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it'll make sense in a bit. But I can't think straight with files and folders and planners and laptops and pencil cases, and everything is everywhere, and my camera is brightening and darkening, and it doesn't know what it's doing either. So I just want to get things cleaned up and straightened up, and then we can start talking about projects and writing and publishing and all of that fun stuff. That feels a lot better now. Sometimes you just need to take some time, straighten things up. I now have both work desks are free. I can do some sketching in a little bit, ready to do some book work. So project updates. I also had made myself a mug of peppermint tea because I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm okay. It's normal stuff. Like I know what's wrong. It's just typical for me. It's like I'm only vlogging 2 days a week now. And so wouldn't you know it, that the day that I'd kind of set as I'm gonna vlog on this day is a day that I don't really feel well. So yeah, I don't know how much work is going to get done, but the purpose of today is not to get a lot of work done. The purpose is to just do some work because it's not been the most productive week. Just to kind of catch you up and let you know where we're at, because the last time I vlogged was last Sunday. Labor Day Monday was great. I really didn't do a whole lot. I read a lot. I have now finished the Rochester trilogy by Skye Warren, and now I'm reading The Banned Bookshop of Maggie something. Really enjoying that. I'm down to the last like 30 minutes, so the climax has happened and now I'm reading to kind of get the resolution. So I'm going to try to finish that today, and then I've got 2 books queued up. One I've already downloaded, the other I need to download. So I'm doing a ton of reading, but I've got a thriller that's downloaded, and then I have a witchy supernatural fiction that has come available on my holds list, so I'm going to download that. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of reading. I've done a lot of reading this week, so that's been nice. Tuesday, nothing got done because I was on campus teaching all day, so Tuesday was just a busy teaching day. Wednesday, I completely crashed, which I kind of expected. But this Wednesday was a little bit different from the last 2 Wednesdays in that not only did I have the post-exertion fatigue, fibromyalgia response that I've come to expect from Wednesday, because Tuesday is just very full on, very exhausting. I did get parking on the ground floor on Tuesday, and I was so sure that that would help, but I felt tired by the time I left campus on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I woke up and not only was I so tired and massive brain fog and couldn't do anything. Like, could barely get out of bed in the morning. Just really struggled. I was also in a lot of pain, so my pain levels were much higher this Wednesday than they've been the last 2 Wednesdays. So that's not great. This whole week I've just felt more off in general. IBS is a little bit worse this week. That's part of what's bothering me today, hence the peppermint tea. Yesterday I was also struggling. I went over to my parents' house and worked from there, but like I almost canceled that. I almost texted my mom to say I couldn't come over. I managed to go over, got a ton of grading done, so that was great. And then today, this morning, Mom and I went to Whole Foods, and then I've spent the rest of the morning and all afternoon grading. So as I said at the start of this vlog, I'm caught up on grading, I'm caught up on my emails. Everything's good. We're still kind of in an early stage of the semester. It's only week 4. Although I guess we are a quarter of the way. We're done with week 4 out of 16. So do the math, Andrea. We are a quarter of the way. Wow. Like, there's still 12 weeks to go, which is still a really long time. But when you think of it as I'm a quarter of the way through the semester, that's... Now, we're really 3.5 weeks, because the first week, week 1, was just Thursday and Friday. So it's not really a full week. I think that's why in my head it doesn't feel like we're a quarter of the way through. I feel like next week might feel more like that. But technically, week 1, short as it was week 1 of 16. So yeah, now it's Friday, and all of this to say, I didn't get really any book work done. I've done no cover sketching since the last vlog, I've done no editing. I have heard back from beta readers, but both of them have called the book, in one sentence or another, like at some point in their message, they called the book perfect. Now, bearing in mind, as I've said a million times, that nothing is perfect and that perfection is not what we're aiming for, and bearing in mind that they might be exaggerating a little bit, I think their use of perfect, I'm taking that as to mean it's good enough. It's done. So this weekend, I want to reread the book as quickly as I can. So I'm going to pop it on my Kindle and try to read like half of it on Saturday and half of it on Sunday. Get as much reading done as I can and try to get through that draft. And then hopefully just take Monday to make some changes, Wednesday at the most, because I won't get any work done on Tuesday, and then hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday of next week start copy editing. So that would be around the 13th or 14th, which is 13 or 14 days later than I wanted to start copy editing. But I think if I do a little bit each day except for Tuesdays, and I can do a little bit more on the weekends, I think I can still get most of the copy editing done, if not by the end of September, then by like the first week of October, which would then give me still 3 full weeks to proofread. I kind of feel like because there's prologue and an epilogue in 20 chapters, the prologue and epilogue are shorter, so let's say 21 full-length-ish chapters. If I can be doing a chapter a day, although I am going to stick to what I did with draft 2, where I'm not thinking of chapters, I'm thinking of words. So if I can do, I'll figure out how many days I'm editing and how many words per day if I want to finish by like October 3rd or something. So I'll give myself a word length or a word goal per day, and then try to stick to that or above. So I'm not worried about things. I'm also not worried about the cover. I am going to do some cover design work, but I'm not worried about the cover because really I don't need the cover done until sometime late October-ish. Like I can still be proofreading and finishing up the cover. So I'm trying to make pushes where I can, but when I have a week like this where I just didn't get anything done during the week, it's okay. So right now I'm gonna get my light board out and try to freshen up my sketch of the main shop front, because I've been focusing on the little things, the vignettes and stuff in the shop windows, but I want to clean up my sketch of the shop front itself, and then hopefully this weekend or Monday I can start tracing and sketching things out in black ink, and that will be kind of the last step before I can scan it and import it to Photoshop. So I'm going to do a little bit of cover design work, drink my tea, enjoy the freshened, cleaner space, and then we'll see how I feel and what I feel like doing next. I've made a decent amount of progress. I've nearly retraced it, but I can tell I need to not push myself. I've really only just been working on it for like 15 minutes, so it really didn't take long to get as much done as I did. But now I'm down to retracing the shop windows and the door, and those are a little bit wonky in the original sketch, so I just want to be able to do those a little bit more slowly. Of course, things could still need to be redrawn. My approach this time is I'm not trying to make it perfect before I pop it into Photoshop. I'm just trying to get it good enough, and then once I get things scanned in, if something just isn't quite looking right, then I'll redraw it. So it's coming along. So I feel like you're at an odd angle considering I'm not sitting up that straight right now. So yeah, I don't know. As I was working on it, I just kept telling myself, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. I really feel like my perfectionism has been flaring up this whole year, to be honest, or at least it's been a constant battle this whole year, but I feel like it's really flaring up as I'm transitioning from summer into autumn. And like perfectionism, for me at least, shows up in a lot of little ways. And so it can be something like having to get a sketch just a certain way, or having to have a draft of the book feel perfect before I can move on to the next step. But my perfectionism, and you can let me know if you're similar to this, it can also show up in ways like the pressure I feel like I've been putting on myself these last few weeks to just adjust to my new schedule. Like, I'm not adjusting to my new schedule, and that's the problem. It feels like it's been a real struggle to adjust. You know, we're 3 weeks down. I've had 3 weeks on campus. It should be feeling easier by now. That's what my brain is telling me. In reality, it's going to feel how it's going to feel for as long as it's going to feel that way. And every semester is different. I know part of it is I do need to kind of establish a fall routine, and like a routine and a schedule for this semester. A routine more than a schedule, because I'm horrible with schedules. But like, every semester is different. So this fall is different than the spring was. This fall is different than last fall. Each semester is different, not just because I'm teaching different classes, but because my class load, like I always teach 5 classes, but how that gets configured across different days is different. How that gets configured and then how my body reacts to that is different. And then what projects I'm working on is different. And so like back in the spring, I wasn't publishing a book. I am hoping to publish something this fall. So that's going to make this fall feel different. Last fall, I did publish a book. So it's similar in that way to last fall. But yeah, last fall was different because of my teaching schedule. So like, it's not exactly like last fall. Hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. I feel like this segment of the vlog is probably going to be a little bit chatty, so just bear with me. But these are things that have been rattling around in my head, and I feel like I've been waiting to talk about them in a vlog until I can articulate it perfectly, and I'm just realizing I'm never going to articulate it perfectly. I want to talk about this, because I know a lot of you are actively publishing or want to publish one day, and so maybe what I'm dealing with will help you, but also B, I want to be able to look back and see how I coped. What my publishing philosophies and ideas and things were. So I wanted to talk about publishing, partly my publishing plans and goals, but also just, I guess, my publishing philosophy. So I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible, but it's still going to probably take me a while. When I first got into self-publishing, I thought it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort, but within my first 6 or 7 books and within the first few years, things will start to pick up, and I'll notice if like it's going in the right direction, meaning book sales and royalties, and if this is something that I can make a success out of. Well, we're a few years in, we're half a dozen books in, and I mean, I'm realizing that it's been a success by my new definition, but if I'm honest, it's probably been a failure compared to what I'm seeing in a lot of the Facebook groups and self-publishing advice forums and hearing on podcasts and even seeing other author tubers and author grammars and, you know, whatever. And it's not a race and it's not a competition, and I refuse to engage in a competition. Like, I have a sticky note on my desk that's paraphrased roughly from the Tao Te Ching that says, because she does not compete, no one can compete with her. And that's my little reminder that it's not a competition. I'm not competing with anyone else. I don't have to compare myself to anyone else. I'm doing my own thing. I'm on my own path. If someone is selling more books than me, amazing. So happy for them, cheering them on. If someone is selling less books than me, does it make me better? It makes me want to give that person encouragement and support to help them reach their goals, because we're all doing our own thing. And I feel like when you're really deep in the advice groups and forums on Facebook and other spaces, it's really easy to fall into that comparison trap. And that's something I've had to really tone down on in the last year or so. I've realized that while I'm selling books and I'm selling consistently every month, I'm not making a lot and I'm not selling a lot. And I don't think that's completely unusual. I don't think I'm an outlier. I don't think that I'm the only one selling at the rate that I'm selling. Now, I'm happy with those sales because I'm also not doing any marketing other than talking about my books on here and on Instagram. That's it. I'm not doing Amazon ads. I'm not doing Facebook ads. I'm not doing promoted posts. I'm not paying to boost a post on Instagram or YouTube. I'm literally doing nothing other than talking about my books and my writing in the online spaces that I'm active. So they're slow sales and they're small sales, but they're very natural, organic sales. And I'm proud of that. It makes me feel like if this is what I'm doing when I'm not really doing anything, then if I ever can start doing ads and things like that, then it'll do even better. So like, I'm happy with where I'm at, but part of the reason why I'm not chasing those sales is because I'm just slowly starting to realize that while the dream of being a full-time writer is still there and is still something I'm slowly working towards, I'm realizing that slowly is the key word there. I talked about this a little bit in the last vlog, that I'm just realizing that I have to slow down. I am still dealing with recovering from burnout from my PhD, which was 5 years ago, over 5 years ago. 2020 hits and we get a pandemic and everything just gets harder. And so now I've got the compounding burnout of PhD burnout combined with pandemic burnout. Doing the publishing and doing my coaching business and doing the content creation and the YouTube and stuff and my full-time job, it's just too much. And several of you have been hinting at this or just outright stating this. You know, you've told me I'm doing too much. I need to slow down. It's fine. I'm getting it. It's finally sinking in. So like, I do need to slow down. So we've slowed down YouTube in that I'm only doing 2 long videos a week with the occasional shorter bonus video on a Friday. FYI, there will be an Amazon haul coming very soon because half of it has arrived, so the other half arrives tomorrow. So we've slowed down on YouTube. I'm slowing down in a way with my coaching business. I had put a lot of pressure on myself to reach certain milestones by the end of the summer. That didn't happen, I think because I just so desperately needed rest over the summer. And so now I'm realizing I just need to extend those goals. And so I'm extending deadlines for milestones that I want to hit and giving myself more of this academic year instead of saying I've got to accomplish something by the end of September or by the end of October. So I'm slowing down there. And so publishing is kind of another area that I just realized I need to slow down. I laugh at the thought that when I first started this, I honestly thought that I was going to get to a point where I was publishing 4 books a year, because I'm struggling to even put out 1 book a year at this point. Last year I managed to do 2, but that was because Brave Together had been supposed to come out in December, and then it finally came out in April, and then by some miracle I managed to get The Inn of Hopes and Dreams out in October. So I did manage 2 books last year. I'm realizing now 2 books in a year is the absolute maximum I can handle, but I probably need to be focusing more on 1 book a year, and if a second one comes out, that's a bonus. The next book to come out obviously will be book 3 of Independent Hearts, because that's the one that's closest to being done. So that's the next one we're aiming for. The next one after that will probably be book 4 of Across the Pond, because I have a full draft of that, and I've even started editing it, so I need to finish editing it. So I know that will come out sometime next year. I will probably then, and this is where we get into some of the publishing plans and goals, I will probably then, I'm not completely decided on this, but what I'm thinking is continuing to hold on Royal Romance. There are reasons for that. Not because I don't believe in the book, and not because the book needs a ton of work, but more just I don't want to rush that book. So Royal Romance is going to be put on a tentative hold, and I will probably start outlining book 4 of Independent Hearts. When it comes to longer term goals, because I'm now realizing that I think 1 book a year is 1 to 2 is like the most I can cope with, and because I have so many other series ideas. The problem is for Independent Hearts, I know for sure there's 5 books, because there's 5 main female characters that I've set up from the beginning, and I don't want to pause that series until I've written each of those 5 stories. I guess I could, so I guess I'm not totally decided on that either, but I'm feeling like I want to keep going with that. And Across the Pond, I have book 4, and I'm really excited about book 5 that I'm currently outlining, and I have an idea for book 6 and book 7. Some of these, Independent Hearts and Across the Pond, might just get paused at a certain point so that I can devote time to getting Royal Romance done. So it could be that after Across the Pond 4 and Independent Hearts 3, those series get paused and a new one doesn't come out in those until after Royal Romance 1 comes out. I also have an idea for November, and this is getting into something that I just want to put this next thing out there, and it's scary to think about, but I feel like if I don't talk about it, I'm going to keep not talking about it. And so yeah, I've mentioned in the past that I have a fantasy series that it was the first, book 1 of that series was the first book I ever wrote, and I wrote that over 10 years ago. It's just been on hold indefinitely. I've reread it recently within the last few years, still really loved it, still can't stop thinking about it. Like, I don't think about it every day, but it is still there. Fantasy would be a departure. I've been making a name for myself as a romance writer. I've also been attempting self-publishing, and I really love self-publishing. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying at this point in the vlog. I'm not giving up on being an indie author. I feel like being an indie is a huge part of my writer identity. I love so much about being an indie author, but I have been asked, why didn't I try traditional publishing? At the time, it was because at that time, I wanted to get a book published as soon as possible. I didn't want to wait to find an agent, and then wait to find a publisher, and then wait and wait and wait and wait. But now I'm starting to think maybe I do want to try traditional publishing with that fantasy series. Or I could also try it with Royal Romance, and that's something else I'm still thinking about. But I think I want to keep working maybe on an alternating basis with Independent Hearts and Across the Pond. So what might happen is I keep working on those series, but one year is Independent Hearts, the next year is Across the Pond, the next year is back to Independent Hearts, the next year is back to Across the Pond. Or they come out faster than a year apart, and some years maybe there's 2 books that come out in a year, and other years there's only 1 because timings, you know, just like as soon as a book is ready I publish it, and if it takes me slightly less than a year, then cool, I won't hold it to make it a year apart from the previous one. But and that's breaking rules. I mean, I know it is, like, you should, consistency is important in a lot of industries, and I feel like publishing is the same. If you're either you consistently rapid release and have it every month or every 8 weeks or something like that, or you consistently publish 1 year apart. So I don't know if any of this is making sense. I just feel like I want to slow down and not rush any of these books and be able to enjoy this process, not worry about publishing what will sell or what will sell loads of copies, because I'm not selling loads of copies anyway. So why push myself to put out a book? I just think that's where I'm at with my publishing, and I just, at this phase or season of my life, I'm not gonna last if I keep pushing myself the way I've been. I hate this. I really do. I absolutely hate this. But I'm not helping myself. I'm not doing myself any favors by pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And that's also not the example I want to set for any of you. I feel like there are so many other author tubers and writer tubers and whatever we want to call ourselves. This is why I struggle to like identify strictly as like an author tuber. Probably more into writer tube, like just writing content, than the self-publishing indie author side of things, or even trad public querying journey. Obviously, if I do go down the querying route, I will document all of that, because I document everything here. That's what we do here. That would be a whole other game to have to learn. But I think in November for Nano, I do want to spend some time working on that fantasy project. I know I'm not going to be aiming for 50,000 words. I'm probably going to be aiming for 30,000, and maybe making that stretch across a few different writing tasks, like outlines, synopses, series outline, a series synopsis, a draft of a query letter. That could be interesting, and that could be fun to document for November. So like, I'm gonna keep working on all these projects, but I just think everything is changing. Nothing's stopping, but everything is slowing down and just getting much more intentional and conscious, that like I'm not rushing to get things published just for the sake of publishing them, but that I'm enjoying the process. Because I can see, like, I'm looking up away from the camera, but I'm looking up at the proof copies of all of my books on the shelf above my desk, and looking at all of those. They've all been their own journey, and they've all been their own experience. I know I have enjoyed each of them. Like, I can look back and say I know I have enjoyed working on all 6 of those books, but there has been a pattern. My first 2 books were stressful at times because they were my first 2 books and I was still learning so much. My 3rd book was a journey because I was co-writing it, co-author with my bestie, Tamsin. That was a whole different experience and felt like starting over and doing something new. And then Bookshop of Possibilities is just this little like jewel in the crown. It's not the biggest jewel. It's not like it's the biggest and best book that's done the best of all of them, but it was the writing process and editing process of that one was just so special and so unique, and that book just flowed out of me. And it was also probably the easiest cover I'd done up to that point, and so it did feel like it was just easier. But then Brave Together had some issues, in like mental issues I had to deal with, mental blocks and stuff. And then it had so many delays. And Inn of Hopes and Dreams also felt like I was just rushing to get it out because I really wanted to get it out last autumn. I did not want it to get delayed the way that Brave Together got delayed. And so with those last few books, it did feel like I was rushing things, and it wasn't so rushed that I stopped enjoying it, but I did have this feeling with Inn of Hopes and Dreams that if I kept going at that rate and in that pattern, I would stop enjoying the books. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to stop enjoying my books. I want to enjoy them. I want to have fun with them. They're not perfect. I'm not a perfect author, and I'm not a perfect indie author, and I make mistakes, and I don't do things the way other people would do them, and sometimes that's for the worse and not for the better. But this year, I have managed to make more progress on Royal Romance 1, and I'm still loving that project. I have finished writing Across the Pond 4 and started working on Across the Pond 5, finished writing Independent Hearts 3, and have now completely edited and will be publishing that. So like I've made a lot of progress this year, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm doing things out of order, but I don't care because I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I don't know if any of that has made any sense. But I'm not going to refilm it. This is just where my head is at. We're going to slow things down. I'm not going to promise. I will promise Independent Hearts 3 is coming out this year. I can promise that. And there will be a book out next year, at least one. It'll probably be Across the Pond 4. I'm not going to promise Independent Hearts 4 for next year or Royal Romance 1 for next year, but we'll see. And I think I want to take November to start diving back into this fantasy project, just testing the waters and researching things for the query process, and just see if I could get an agent with several romance novels. And because also if I continue developing Last Thing, and then I'm going to start doing some writing, but if I can be approaching an agent, and I need to see like what is the best practice for like approaching an agent, but if I can approach an agent with both a romance series, like Royal Romance, because I haven't published that series yet, and a fantasy series with my fantasy series, I don't know. And I can query different agents with the different projects and just see what bites first or something. I don't know. I need to research all of that. But I am starting to feel like I want to keep going with indie publishing, but at a slower pace. And I also want to start looking into querying, but doing that slowly as well. And just, I don't know, coming up with a strategy for the long game of the publishing is kind of what I'm thinking. So with all of that said, and that long ramble that I'm already looking forward to editing and making it hopefully make sense, I'm gonna do some writing. It is getting late. I'm just gonna work for another 30 minutes, and then I really want to go sit down because I don't feel that great, but I really want to do some work on Across the Pond 5 and my outline for that. So I'm gonna try to do it like 500 or so words. Scrivener's probably telling me 700 words. Let's see what Scrivener, 715. I'm gonna try for at least 500. See if we can do 715. 1,000 will be the max, and I'll cut myself off if I actually manage to reach 1,000. But yeah, that's just what's been rattling around in my head, and I just feel like I needed to spit all that out so that if I casually mention researching query letters, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, let's light my, what was it called? Snuggly sweater. My snuggly sweater candle, because that's the candle for this project, and see how many words I can get written. managed 1,035 words. So I think I mentioned this in a previous video. I'm rewriting chapter 1. So I have a chapter 1 for this project. Don't completely love it. So I've outlined a new chapter 1 and I'm starting to work on that. So I've done about 100 words added to the outline and then started writing or rewriting the chapter, and I've got I've got 924 words written for the chapter, and I'm already kind of liking it a little bit better. So we'll see how that goes. But I've had a lovely time working on it. Nice time writing. I've had the new Laufey album playing. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm loving her music. I discovered her almost a month ago and have been listening to everything she's already released, but a new album just came out today, so I've been listening to that while I've been writing. I've had my snuggly sweater candle burning while I'm wearing a snuggly sweater. It's just been putting me in a pretty good mood today, so that's been nice. I'm realizing that, like, even though this project isn't the focus or the priority right now, I have just learned that I am happiest when there's always something that I'm writing. Even when I'm working on multiple projects, there have been times where, like, I've been copy editing or proofreading one novel and starting to edit another novel, and I'm not actively writing anything. And I just get really cranky when that happens. If I'm not writing something, I just will eventually end up in a really bad mood. Like, I just need to have something I'm writing, even if I only work on it once a week or once every few weeks. I kind of want this project to be something where if by the end of the week I've gotten work done and other stuff, then I can let myself enjoy a bit of writing. I'm still figuring so much out with this one, and there's still far more questions than answers, but I'm enjoying it. Anyway, I feel like this has been an odd day, and I feel like this has been an odd vlog. I knew I wanted to do a kind of writing, publishing, book focused afternoon, evening vlog here, so we've ticked that box at least. But I know it's been a bit rambly and chatty, so I hope it was still interesting, and I hope it was still reassuring for any of you who are feeling similar, or who are also in the early stages of your publishing career, or maybe haven't yet started publishing but are thinking about it and want to do it. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by just all of the advice and stuff out there, you're not alone. And that's very normal. I'll still be here, you know, documenting how I'm grappling with all of this. Nothing's really going to change as far as like content. You're still going to see all the same content, but it definitely, my perspective on publishing is changing. Like, it's still actively changing. I don't have all of these answers, but I just don't want to keep, I feel like I started the year with all these grand ideas of what I was going to accomplish this year and what I would be setting myself up to accomplish next year, and I'm not where I thought I would be. And so next year is looking very different than how I originally thought it would be. And so I just wanted to kind of have a bit of a chat about that. Just in case. I've told you all not to have your hopes up for any of these books coming out at a certain time, but just in case, like Rural Romance, I feel like I've been teasing that one for ages, and like, I'm not intending to tease. And it is a very fine line between how much we as writers talk about and document online when so much can still change with publishing. I want you to read all of these books. I really, really do. And I will release them all at some point, and so many more. But slow and steady wins the race. And I don't want the last 4 months of this year to feel frantic and pressured because I'm still trying to do too much, when what I really need to do is slow things down even more. So anyway, I hope I'm going to stop this vlog here. or rather I'm going to stop talking here. I'm going to keep vlogging. I'll show you what I do the rest of the night. I'm going to have a cozy Friday, laying on the couch tonight, playing games on my iPad and watching Discovery of Witches, because AMC Plus has done like a temporary deal with Max, formerly HBO Max, and they have added all 3 seasons of Discovery of Witches to Max for 60 days. So it's really just September and October, but I've been wanting to rewatch that series, especially like now that it's getting to be autumn. So I'm really excited. That's gonna be my night. But yeah, leave me some book emojis, since this was a very book focused vlog today. So leave me some book emojis. Let me know if you are a writer. I'd love to know your current thoughts on like your publishing plan, your publishing strategy. Do you want to go traditional? Do you want to do the indie path? Are you wanting to be a hybrid of both? Are you into rapid releasing, or are you taking a slower path like me? Yeah, I'd just like to know from the other writers in this little community what your thoughts are for your own publishing journey, what you're thinking so far, or what you're doing so far. If you're not a writer, if you're a reader, let me know what you're currently reading, or if you have thoughts as a reader on publishing. If you read my books, I hope you don't hate me now. I know you won't, but like I hope the thought of me slowing down doesn't make you feel too sad. I do really want to get these books out. Yeah, so just let's chat books and publishing and whatever your response to what I've said is, whether you are a writer or a reader. I'd love to hear from all of you. Give this vlog a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I would really appreciate both of those things. I will see you all very soon in the next vlog. Thank you very much for watching this one. Bye!